Oh. Nisha, so the recorder started already? Thank you. I like how you answer that question with a thumbs up. Thank you.
So even though we don't see us up there, we're live. Yes, we're live, right?
You are live. You're
You
just
might
not.
gotta move it to the other screen.
What's that?
You probably gotta move it.
I didn't post it on the screen, I just got it up.
Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, I would like to call the Town of Colonial Beach Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission to order June 20th, 2023. This is a postpone from our regular meeting because we all had all kinds of crazy things happening. So thank you all for being here this evening. At this time, would everyone up here please just introduce themselves, and if you have any announcements pertaining to Parks and Rec or some of the things that are going on.
Mike Montesano. Mike Montesano announcements.
Karen Brisovich, the only announcement I have is no, tomatoes are starting to come in and corn is kind of coming into our collaborative partnership that we have with the Colonial Beach Farmers Market at the Buzz, and Parks and Recreation has been very well attended, and that will continue to go on through October.
Anisha Thompson. The announcement I have is the Juneteenth event Saturday was a nice turnout. It was a nice day, we had nice weather and a lot of dancing.
Lisa Oaks, I have no announcements.
Is that me? Kenny Allison, Town Council, Parks and Rec Liaison. I have no announcements at this time.
Sally Adams, Parks and Rec Director, and I would like to announce that I have a new intern as of today. You gave me a microphone? My new intern's name is Tucker Duke, and I'd love for him to say something real quickly about himself, if that's okay.
Tucker Duke, the new intern of Parks and Recreation Department. I like recreation and baseball, so I'm excited.
Welcome. Mr. Allison and I agree that the name Tucker is right on time, so we both have Tuckers.
Great.
Welcome.
I'm going to let Tucker go so he can eat dinner.
He is.
I think his
welcome
family's
to
holding
do
dinner
that.
for him.
Exactly, because you came all the way across the country to be here with us. didn't
Yep.
you?
Thanks.
Yep.
You
guys.
Okay, go eat dinner. You can go around this way. Thanks, Tucker.
Okay, at this time, do we have any additions to the agenda? I have a couple. I wanted to see if we, could be just a brief synopsis of Very Done and what's happening with that, so that we can have a little blurb about that. So then, B would be the social media posting schedule, C would be high school participation, and then D would be National Night Out. Do we have any other additions to that at this time? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The agenda is approved as written with the additions. Next, number 5, we have the minutes from our last meeting. Take a hot minute to look at those, and then can I have approval of the minutes as written?
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor to approve the minutes as written?
Aye.
Those opposed? The minutes are approved. Number 6, introductions and citizen input. I know we have a special guest this evening. Do we have it?
We're not able to access my email. Are you still working on something?
You send it to me. I can log into my email.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Would please. Let's do this.
Why don't we at this time then, while they're getting that all straightened out, why don't, Sally, do you mind moving on to your director's report?
No,
And then we
not at all.
Circle back. Is that okay with everyone?
Okay, for the month of June, we've had a coffee walk on June 9th, a sip and stroll, sip and stroll is a separate issue from Parks and Rec, I handle that too. Family Flag Night on June 13th. Then Parks and Rec was one of the hosts for the Juneteenth event on the 17th. On June 20th, that's tonight, we have the PrAC meeting. And on the 21st, which is tomorrow, we have a history walk. And on the 28th, we have a t-shirt tote bag night. And we're inviting people to come and bring a favorite t-shirt, turn it into a tote bag. They can use it for their own purposes, or they can give it to a program that supports mothers of children with disabilities. So the bags will go filled with little goodies for them, for those parents. We also had a meeting of CBYAA, and there's a point in that. I'm hoping that Mr. Allison will speak on that a little bit. And I feel like the meeting was very successful. We're still waiting on an answer on a couple of things to move forward, but we keep at it. I also wanted to point out, even though events isn't part of this group, Parks and Rec does participate in some of these things, and we're handling a lot of the events coming up. Like the Juneteenth was partially hosted by Parks and Rec, so we had a presence at that event. And we also will be participating in National Night Out, but that's part of your agenda, so we'll be talking about that tonight, obviously. We have some things coming up in July, including we're looking at a family camp out on Eleanor Park per a request from this board, and that's going to be a one-night event on Eleanor Park. We have been looking into how to do things that require electricity on Eleanor Park, and a generator is one of those things. I know Mr. Munnis had made a request of an event that did require some electricity. It's in the minutes, because right this hot second, I can't remember what it is. But you suggested something.
It says we just start having activities at Eleanor Park.
Right, I think somebody suggested something that would need electricity.
Like a movie night,
Yeah, movie night, that was it, thank you, movie night. And in order to do that, we would have to bring in a generator, and we were discussing, I was discussing with whoever would listen, that whether or not we could do that. It's still a possibility, but for now, we're gonna put our movie night off until September, when the weather cools down a little bit and the mosquitoes aren't quite so prevalent. So we have 3 movies that we're looking at, but my top contender is the Lego Movie, because we're looking for movies that have, that everyone can watch and enjoy, which is not as easy as you think, unless you're a parent and you know.
It's not.
So there are a lot of things going on this summer, and not necessarily just from Parks and Rec. We're trying to fill holes from camps at churches, Bible schools and things like that, to all of the events that are happening on Town Hill and other places. There's quite a lot going on, so the gaps that we're filling are things like Eileen has been doing some tennis and pickleball events. We're doing things for young kids. We have some older adult events, and by older adult I mean people my age and older. Things like the grown-up game nights. We had a really successful mahjong night last month, and so things are moving along in terms of programming. But I think once the weather cools down and all of the usual seasonal events are no longer happening, we would probably want to talk about the kind of programming that supports residents and weekend visitors, so.
Well, Sally, I'd just like to say, in looking at what you've done over your short tenure doing this, I feel like you have made a huge effort, and we all should be really, really proud that we have hit all the groups we talked about hitting. I mean, there are programs for older people happening. There are programs for younger people happening. There are programs for people with different abilities happening. So I think you should pat yourself on the back that, in a time where this whole thing was in a state of change and in a state of trying to figure out who we are and what we are, there have been things going on that are providing recreation to a very diverse group of people. So thank you.
Well, good, thank you, yeah. One of the things that I'm doing, you'd asked about social media, and we'll get back to that because that's also on the agenda. But one of the things that we've been doing now is until we can, I'm sorry, this is ringing so badly. Until we can get to the place where we can afford to print, 1,000 copies or 400 copies or whatever of a
Flyer
thank you,
or a booklet or.
thank you,
yeah.
yes. We're right now using a mailing list, so every time we have an event, we invite people to sign up for the mailing list, and right now our list is about at a little over 100. So we send, like this was on a mailing list, and we're trying to work on ways that we can entice people to, you all receive the mailing. So it's not where it needs to be, but we're looking at a monthly mailing to make sure, everybody gets the information that they need about what's happening. And we've looked at weekend things. I'm looking at, things for weekend guests for like the different groups that you were talking about. And at the Juneteenth celebration, I went and handed these out like a crazy lady because I really want to encourage people from our entire community, not just one segment of the community, to be participating in parks, especially with the master plan coming close to being presented. So it's all very exciting. It's lots of activity, and anybody who wants to come and meet with me, or I'll meet you at a coffee shop to talk about it some more. I'm all about that. So I think better with other people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to, or any questions for Sally? Okay. Moving on to, well, should we go back, Kenny, are we ready, or?
Yes. Short
Thank
answer,
you.
yes.
Thank you, Katie. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Allison for being my tech guy, even though that's not what he expected, but every time we come, he knows how to do this better than I do, so.
Well, I'm way excited about this, so. Should we move a microphone
Let's do.
to Jeff?
Sure.
Jeff, I'm gonna give you one right
Right here?
now. Yeah, is that okay?
Sure.
So I don't know how to present this on YouTube. We just have it here, so people will just
Okay, so
follow
Sally,
along.
Yes.
Sally can make, what we need to do then is probably put this on our Facebook page, because it may not be showing on
If you can share it with me, I'll
the
be able to
YouTube.
do that.
Yes, I can do that. I just don't know how to share from YouTube.
Right. Yeah, that's fine.
You're doing so
No
great,
worries,
please.
we're on and being sync, so that's great. Okay, Jeff?
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Eisensmith. Thank you for letting me come before you. I'm the president of Greenspace. I've got Chris Lumley behind me, the vice president. Greenspace is a 401c dedicated to the preservation and enhancement of our green spaces at ICB. 501, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
501.
big difference.
Yes, big difference. So I'm here to see if there is an appetite within this committee, this commission, to bring in a proposed kayak launching ramp. The first line here basically says, these are some of the benefits. We have an idea where we want to place it. This will be done as a partnership between the NGO, us, and some of the businesses here. The plan at the end of it is to turn the kayak launch over to the town. We expect that there's very little maintenance involved with this at all, so I don't see it as an increased O&M tail, operation and maintenance tail going forward. So we'll move on to slide 2. This is a picture of the Jefferson Street site. Right, it's already used to launch kayaks by the residents of Colonial Beach now. So it's not a big lift to get this thing ready to do this. The access is owned and controlled by the town. There's room for parking. Can you guys see this?
We have a slide mismatch.
Oh,
That's right, but we have it on our paper.
all right, so it's the one that shows Jefferson Avenue.
Yeah, we got
That's
it.
the next one.
Sorry.
Okay, there.
It's
That's
not
not
projected, so it doesn't matter.
Not that one either.
Oh, not that one either? Okay.
That's
There
all
may
right.
be a
Sorry.
picture.
The
Missing?
presentation's out of order.
We're on it.
Yeah, so I'll just
We got
present.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm gonna foot stomp the idea that the operating and the maintenance costs are almost gonna be zero. It's a very simple design. And the plan is to upgrade it in the future for ADA compliance. So what you see on the next slide, that one right there, is an image of what it's going to look like, or what one looks like. Perhaps not the one we're gonna buy, but that's notional, what you can see. It's very simple, it doesn't take up a lot of space, but it will enhance people's ability to come in and launch their kayaks in town. So, once again, if you're looking at the options for launching boats now, kayaks today, you've got the Castlewood boat, which I would argue could do the job, but it's very busy, and we'd be competing with much larger boats. And for a resource as important as that, if you can get people to launch their kayaks someplace else, there's a big benefit. So we'll go on to the next slide. So the benefits are, we're probably gonna increase our parking revenue, we're gonna probably have people coming to Colonial Beach, spending the night, doing the overnight stays. There'll be food and beverage sales. And we would imagine that local outfitters would see the benefit as well. So it's good for business. Next slide. These are some of the options, I talked about it before, but these are some of the things that the town is offering now. And I think a dedicated kayak launch would be a nice addition. It'd be easy to do, it'd be relatively quick to get the funding for it, and you can get it installed this calendar year if we get the agreement of the stakeholders. So with that, it's low cost of entry, it's a big benefit. It kind of is who we are, bringing people to the town to enjoy the river and the bay. So, any questions I can help you with?
I
Yes.
have one. So what do you have to do for maintenance purposes for the winter time? Because I'm assuming that, Public Works would have to be the ones to maintain this if you turn it over?
I would imagine. So there's a couple of things you can do with it. The design is extraordinarily simple. You just leave it in place. It would probably get a little bit of extra wear, but I know people kayak all year long. A lot of them are wearing wetsuits, but they do actually use it. It's going to be probably something that's a ruggedized plastic, like a kayak itself, or it'll be something like a pressure-treated wood. And there really isn't a lot of maintenance. You could, if you wanted to, drag it out of there, but I think I would imagine Park and Rec, Public Works would leave it in place. And I would imagine lifespan would probably be maybe 5 to 6 years, and then it would just be a pull out and replace.
How much does one of those cost? Roughly.
I'm thinking that I've seen everything from a build-it-yourself kit that runs about $2,000 from Lowe's, and you can get full ADA compliance for just over $5,000. If we are successful funding I'd like to maybe see if we can get an ADA compliant kayak launch right out of the gate. That would be the number one we want, but if not, we go with something now, get a good feel for it, and there's always time to replace or add another one later.
Well, I'd like to say to the group, we had a wonderful meeting with them, and take this hat off and not my farmer's market hat, but through the Colonial Beach Outfitters hat, that we still aren't completely sure what our business is gonna be or do, but we are fully committed to helping this group raise the funding that they would need, and if that's the cost, to do an ADA one from the get-go. And I feel like with the other 3 or 4 kayaking and paddleboard businesses that are here in town, we could readily juxtapose them into being supportive of this. The big things I think the group needs from us is the recommendation to Kenny to take to town that we utilize that Jefferson Street off-put to do something like this with, even if the town's taking it over, with the minimum amount of work and things, so that everything that we would put in would be long lasting, and there still would be, it wouldn't be like it would be abandoned, because we as Colonial Beach Outfitters, and I feel like all these other businesses and all the people that do this on their own would be willing to help maintain something. I mean, like that. The best places here to kayak are not up and down this river. It is right where you put in right here and going back in the creeks and to swans and everything that is back there. So I guess kind of what they're asking our group to do is to make a recommendation to council to kind of allow this to organically happen as a grassroots effort moving forward.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. I mean, there are a lot of people who kayak now, and I saw people launching on the beach with a crowded beach over the weekend. Having a place for our visitors and our residents to actually go and launch it in a safe place would be great.
Thank you very much. So I look forward to a recommendation, hopefully. And again, I thank you for your time.
Well, I feel like, and you, Jeff, Chris was here when this happened. We did recognize in front of council that CB Green Space is recognized as a total collaborative partner with our commission. So that in itself, when Kenny presents this, I guess when we get to his part of our recommendations would be some great backing, I guess, in that part of it.
Yep. And aside from that, we can certainly start the process with the town manager and those in order to get it through the council, right? So obviously this will take some planning and different things, parking, setting up public works, like there will be a whole list of things that need to happen. So I can start that process on the back end and then of course mention it to council to ensure everybody's buy-in and then see if it's viable, for everybody on the council.
Much appreciated.
Great. It's exciting.
Thank you again.
No, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, moving on to number 9, committee reports. CV Explorers, Debbie is not here, but I know Sally mentioned a bunch of things they have done.
Yeah, we've got, every month we have a coffee walk on second Friday in the morning at 8 o'clock, meet at the Colonial Buzz and walk to Julie's. And that's gonna happen through the end of the summer, and we'll see what the weather's like after that. We also have the History Walk tomorrow, which is a family walk. It's meant to be accessible, and it will be starting at 1 o'clock, and it ties in. We're collaborating on that with the libraries and with CV Explorers, of course, and they're kind of becoming their own entity. And the History Walk is also using the maps that were made by the museum, the Historical Society, and we're updating them and taking families on a walk to go look at buildings, and then they come back and have Wacky Wednesday at the library at 2 o'clock. So it's tying into another existing event. And that a lot of what we're looking at as the Explorers group is how to tie into existing events to encourage families to come out. And not just families, but, people. encourage people to come out and do things that may be already tied into something that would draw them and have them meet new people, make new
Well,
friends.
it's all inclusive,
Yeah.
which is important.
Very much so.
Any questions, comments about that? Okay, moving on to B, Lona Beach Youth Athletics Association.
Is that me?
I was hoping Mr. Allison would speak on this. He was great in the meeting that we had and had a lot of people show up.
Yep, so we had several people show up for an initial meeting to discuss with one of the chair members from CBYA about the potential transitioning / collaborative, all the above, right? Is basically a meet and greet and try to understand where they are, where the members are, and how they want to proceed. Good conversation with Mr. Shear and understanding where CBYA was and where it plans to transition to. We're still in discussions on how that is kind of going to play out. We will not reach a decision by this football season, more or less. There's just not enough planning involved. So we will continue to address that, continue to reach out to them and figure out the best solution to hand the baton off to the next round of individuals that's potentially going to take this over. I have a feeling that I'll be wearing a hat somewhere along those lines. But I think we're moving in the right direction to reestablish that and having, not only football, which what it currently was football and cheer, but maybe expanding that out to other avenues. I know we had pop-up for soccer and that kind of stuff, so there could be potential for some form of soccer program or any other program at that point underneath that umbrella.
Okay.
So.
That we about covered?
That's great.
Questions, comments? Okay. Moving on to our agenda, and again, we want to try to keep this meeting short, so all the next little things can be brief. Very done. We just wanted a hot minute recap of where we are with that and what's happening.
Barry Dunn came in and presented 3 scenarios for Eleanor Park in May, and of those 3 scenarios, and I say scenarios, apparently it's a term of art. You can't say that they're designs because we're not into the design phase yet. They're just ideas with elements. And so people have gotten the opportunity to choose elements and make their thoughts known. So with all of that said, there was one that sort of started to bubble to the top with parking. And that's the heart design. Yeah. And then with the addition of parking, and I don't know much more than that. It's just that there's still a discussion, and we should, I believe, by mid to late August. Do you know if they're on the schedule yet to present for council?
I don't know.
We haven't seen
Probably,
anything.
if it's gonna be
Okay,
anything,
that's
it's probably gonna be
fine.
end of July or the first, probably the working session in August.
Because the other thing I just want to say in regard to all those things, as it was stated in some of those meetings, the financials for these renderings have not been a part of any of the discussion yet. So just because those are the 3 ideas, it doesn't mean one is going to be chosen and happen. I think,
Right.
to the public, we just need to be very transparent.
But I will say that one of the reasons why they're leaning toward that idea is because Virginia is for Lovers and the Virginia Tourism Department would be a natural partner for that
grants.
park. And so that was one of the reasons why
Perfect.
leaning in. And coming along with the master plan will be concepts for phasing in, for financing, and all of that will be built into the plan. And they said that from the get-go.
One thing to understand with any of those plans is, as she said, the phased approach. So you may get the heart in the first 5 years. You may get a pavilion the next 5 years. It could be, depending on funding and the grants and stuff that we get, yes, it may cost us $5 million. But that $5 million is realistically gonna be over the next 20+ years, right? So it's, when people see that sticker shock of a price, first they go, well, is that all gonna be our, funding out of
All
our
money
pockets,
goes
right?
from everywhere, right,
So-
yeah.
No, right? That's the whole purpose of us doing grants and collaborating with others and Green Space or
Fundraising.
whoever else,
Exactly.
right? I mean,
Exactly.
that's how Torrey Smith Park was developed, it was fundraising and having an individual that wanted to make something happen.
Right.
There's plenty of people in Coney Beach that want to make something happen. There's just a process involved and it takes time.
Yeah, I think moving forward with any of the things we do, and maybe that's an element of some of this that needs to be discussed with them. Presentation here of things, we all want wonderful things for here, and shiny and great and new. But everything now in the world, and especially in the world of building things for the public, has gotten extremely expensive. And with all the things that you have to make it right the first time, it has to be in phases, so. Okay, social media schedule.
I was on a meeting this morning with our communications team, and the social media schedule will mean I will be the primary person to handle Parks and Rec social media. That doesn't mean I can't hand off to Marissa for long-term things, but anything that's short-term will be me. And we have now a branding campaign, which will be presented to the town council at the next meeting. No, August meeting, sorry. Be presented at the August meeting, but we're going to start implementing it sooner rather than later. So she's working with us on there's going to be some branding on this, and we may be getting a new logo for the Parks and Recreation to include events, although you all won't be handling events. Events does come under my title. So Parks, Recreation, and Events, or PRE, is going to be the new brand for this department. And we'll have some new artwork for it. So, and a regular schedule, which you all will receive. I haven't done that yet because I haven't had the template for it until, I don't even have it yet, but this morning I found out about it, so.
Great. High school participation with us.
We have 3 interns right now, which I talked about last time when I thought that's what you were talking about, but we don't have a high school person to participate on the board. And when we talked to I went and talked to Dr. Addo and to Mr. Lush, and both of them recommended that we start with the beginning of the school year, and that they felt like it was going to be hard for us to
Oh, yeah.
promote this while kids are out of school.
Okay.
So maybe a big campaign to encourage participation.
Perfect. Moving on to D now, National Night Out. In the past, I know we have been collaborative partners with the police department and this event.
Sergeant Wright, Bernetta Wright, is going to be the person who's handling the National Night Out. And I know from speaking with her broadly about this, she welcomes any participation that we can provide. So I think maybe the next thing is if someone from the commission and Sergeant Wright and I maybe could get together and discuss if there's anybody who wants to jump in. Yeah,
I would.
Okay.
I did some stuff with her last year, just on myself, with her.
okay.
I collaborated with her to get some book bags together for prizes.
Well, how about, since Nisha's interested as
Yeah,
well,
no, yeah,
how about I
yeah.
have the 2 of you guys and me, and I'll schedule a meeting, and maybe we can,
Two of the big issues from last year, just to state it, was music as far as entertainment, because we get in competition, and I don't mean that, with Dance Skateland and what they're doing out there, and they have a long-term one that's been going on for a long time, that a lot of people go to countywide. And then the other missing piece last year was just a food option. And, if we need to get donations for that to be paid for, or if we have an organization or group that wants to come in and just,
It's all we have is pizza.
well, they weren't gonna have that unless we bought it.
Right.
So that,
So we want some food options this year. And
So you're saying they did not have music last year?
No, we have music. There was a DJ there.
Okay, well, but again, that's just some things to think about in it, that there's, and even almost Sally, and again, I was not able to attend, so this is just secondhand from Doug, but even if there was almost a announcements, so it's like a formal-ish kind of, there's somebody with a microphone somewhere saying something every now and again, welcoming people or telling people what is going on. You're talking about the missing elements from it last time.
You mean like an MC?
Yeah, kind of like
Host.
that.
The host.
A host, yeah. So that people know what they're coming to and this is what's going on. Hey, go get your free pizza over here, get some drinks and whatever and a popsicle and woohoo, woohoo.
Who was it that did Juneteenth? She was amazing.
What was that?
She's got a busy schedule,
She was so good.
Mecca. She's got a busy schedule.
So anyway, just some things,
Okay.
elements of that to think about.
Cool.
Okay, anything else? We're moving to council, well, we should have added this on here. At this time, July 4th hits our meeting. And so when we set the calendar, we had said, we were going to pick a different day. Do we want to decide that through email in the next week? And then maybe once we go back and look at our schedules, pick a time in July that we meet, because I do think that's important, especially because our meeting for August is actually National Night Out. And we've already done that. We've done that as a traditional thing. We announced it as that, so we all can be there. So it makes it copacetic that we're all in one place together and doing that. So let's do that this week through email and figure out when we can have our July as soon as possible so they can post it Saturday. So council recommendations, the only thing I have, and Kenny, I totally skipped over your council report because of us trying to fix everything.
That's okay, because I don't think I have anything worth telling.
Okay.
At this moment.
The only recommendation I have is if we could, and again, I guess, I don't know if, the channels to go through to talk about the discussion and starting this ability to have a kayak ramp somewhere. And I do think from the get-go, because I think this is important in everything that we're doing moving forward, I think the ADA compliance piece of it is imperative moving forward with it. Like, it's not, let's just do it this way, then add it. No, we need to have a project or something that we do here from the beginning that is looked at that way. Just my thought.
I agree with that. Because if you do that, it never happens. We've seen it plenty here.
Well, yeah, or and again, there's still parking places that I go and see and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that the signs aren't with spaces and different things. And again, we will get there, but it's just getting everybody on the same page of how important those pieces of implementing things are.
I have a question, and, don't leave me because I was born here. Where's Jefferson Street?
Right past Bayside Marina.
Next to Nightingale.
Next to
Nightingale and Bayside Marina,
Okay,
right
it's
between
down
them.
there.
It's a little less you can, yes, kind of.
Right. I was curious, because I was thinking parking wise and kids and,
On those.
No,
I
it's,
didn't know where it was.
there could probably, the workout probably overflow parking with some of the businesses there possibly. I mean, let's face it, you're not gonna have hundreds of cars.
I was gonna say, how many kayaks can you launch it on one?
And again, there is an opportunity though for there to be paid parking there. Doug and I have gone and looked at the site extensively. I mean, it could be incredible, right where it is, because it's not gonna mess up the eco line and anything. I mean, it's just gonna be, because people do it there already anyway.
Right.
Is that town property?
It is.
It's an easement to.
Yeah.
There's an easement there, and there's an easement at the end of the Baptist church at Boundary. If you go straight down, there's a bench there that is now, we looked at both sites. Where the bench is now, you see the bench, but in front of the bench is a gajillion tall bamboo-y like thing. So the bench sitting there doesn't even look out at the water anymore. So there'd be a lot more work to maintain it, fix it. This space where it is, there's two natural walls on both sides of it that both businesses on both sides have kind of built. So it's never gonna, whatever you put there is never gonna get like, well, you can't say never, because our poor Matt's did.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think it's gonna get like swept away, especially on the bay side, like that, so. So Kenny, if you could take care of that, then maybe report back with us.
I had that correction.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, anyone? Well, thank you all. Enjoy your July 4th, and this meeting is adjourned.
Woohoo!